Okay, let's continue with our forms and our HTML course. In this video I'm going to go through a few more input types, okay, so brace yourself, okay. The first one we're going to go through is text. It's called text, this one, so input type equals text, and this is just a text box. So with a text box we need to give it a name, and if we want to give the username, let's get username. Alright, and we need to give it a value. We don't have to, but in this case we are. Okay, enter your name, username even. Alright, and then we close the tag, and we've just made a text box, guys. If I refresh my page, enter your username. Alright, so it's as simple as that when entering text boxes. And when we submit the URL, if you use get, it's going to be like this. We're going to put username equals blah 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 blah, wherever we put it. But don't worry about that, guys, it doesn't really matter in this case. Alright, so that's how we do text boxes. Alright, so to make things easier I'm going to put them in paragraph tags. Remember, we can use anything we want within the form tag. So that looks a bit better. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is check boxes. So in this case, let's do another paragraph. Okay, in this case it's input type equals checkbox. Okay, need to give it a name so we can refer to it again. Let's call this one agree to terms, for example. Okay, the user needs to click this box to agree to the terms and conditions to register for the website, let's say that. Okay, and let's refresh the page. Let's give it a label, agree to our terms. Alright, so let's refresh. Okay, if we want to make it selected by default, we just put checked. Let's refresh. There we go, it's checked now. Okay, remember this, guys. If you want to do it by default, if you've decided that the user's going to agree already and you want them to register, just make it checked. We can edit it if we want to, but checked is the way to go if you want to have it checked by default. Alright, so they're check boxes. Okay, so the next thing, okay, I'm going quite fast here, guys, so make some notes if you want. We've got a text box, we've got a check box. Alright, the third thing is a text area, which I'm also going to store in a paragraph tag. And a text area is a bit different from input tags, guys. It's got its own tag, it's called text area. We can give it a name, we can say description, for example. Okay, that's simple as that. We can close the text area and we're going to refresh. Okay, and the text area is like this. Okay, we can put multiple lines of code in there, or whatever we want to put in there. Okay, we've got a few attributes we can use for the text area. We've got rows, for example, 3 rows. Okay, and columns, cols, these columns equals 10. Alright, so let's make this a bit, let's see if this works, 20 by 30. Alright, so that's a way to configure your text boxes, or text area, sorry. Let's delete this. And that's a text area, guys. Okay, so we've got text boxes, check boxes, the text area. The next thing I'm going to talk about is drop down menus. Okay, so let's go through them. Right, we've got a few more tags to introduce to. We've got this to make a drop down box you need a thing called select. So we're going to select a range of values, we're going to give it a name, a drop down, for example, and let's close it first. Oops. Alright, so now we need to give the user a bunch of options, okay, to choose from, and to do that we just give it an option. Alright, option. Alright, so each option needs a value. Okay, these values are going to be submitted to the submitted form page. So this value is going to be 1, for example. Okay, and we just label it, guys. This label doesn't mean much. We can refer to it through JavaScript if we want to, but we just call it 1. Alright, so let's copy these 3. Okay, do that one first. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. When we refresh the page, Alright, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, okay, they're the labels, these are the values, okay. To make things easier, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can't see it, okay, but the values are now the numeric values of that. So this is how to do a drop down box, guys. It's that simple. Select to declare the drop down, give it a name, and just choose all your options, okay, to store them in your options tag. Alright, so alright, the last thing I want to go through, guys, I know it's a lot, but I guess these are good. This is good stuff you need to give your users when submitting your data. Alright, so the last thing is the radios. Now I'm going to show you what a radio is. Input type equals radio. Alright, so name equals group 1. Okay, and give it a value. Let's give it a value of 1, for example. And that is a radio, so that's all it is by itself. Okay, let's give it a label, 1. Doesn't really matter what you label it, guys, it won't matter. And let's give it a line break. So okay, this is a radio. We can do it again and again. 2, 3, 4, okay. And we keep the name the same, because here's our radio list. When we select one, the selection changes and relative to the name of the group. So if we can do this again, let's call this group 2 this time. Okay, this is another group of and as you can see, we can only change the values in that particular group, guys. So that's how the radios work. Alright, so these are the main input methods on forms. I know it's a lot to learn, but it's relatively simple. We just use the input tag, give it a type, radio, text, or the checkbox. Okay, text areas have their own tag. If you want to put a default value in there, let's say default value, there we go, it's in there now. Okay, if we want to predetermine the selected value, we can just put selected. Oops, selected. Okay, and now 2 is selected. That's how we do that. We can do it for the radios as well. So a value of 2. Oh, maybe not. Checked. There we go. It's a check. Sorry, guys, it's checked for that one. For the radios, it's checked if you want to give it a value. And once we submit our forms, all this data is going to be submitted to our form submitted page. Alright, so this is how we input data with forms. Okay, so I know it's a lot to learn, but just take your time over it, guys. Do some experimentation with it. Don't worry about what we're going to do with the data for now. This is just how we actually construct a form and submit data. So if you want more help, guys, send me a message or something and I'll help you. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I'm going to wrap the HTML course up in the next couple of videos, so I hope you've learned a lot. So send me a message if you want to know more. Okay, so thanks for watching.